Hello students. In this session we will be talking about developmental programs. Okay, so there is a topic in your syllabus, government's developmental programs. Okay, so money laundering we have completed, black money we have completed. So here we will be talking about developmental programs. Okay, so developmental programs. Okay, so here we will discuss about the various government programs. Now, what do you mean by the central sector scheme and centrally sponsored scheme? What is the difference? See, if you see, there are two categories, right? Central sector schemes is there, and then centrally sponsored schemes are there. Centrally sponsored schemes, CSS. Okay, so what is the difference? See here, if you see central sector scheme, this is actually 100% funded by the central government. So central sector scheme 100% funded by the center. Okay, so central sector scheme 100% is actually funded by the center. So what about centrally sponsored scheme? It is actually funded by center and state together. Okay, so it is funded by center and states. So here the contribution of states is also there. So central sector scheme completely by the center, centrally sponsored scheme it is shared between center and the states. Okay, see, what is the ratio? Is there any fixed ratio? Earlier there was a ratio like 75-25. This was the situation earlier. 75% by the center and 25% by the states, but now it is restructured, so it varies. Okay, now see, if you remember in one of our previous discussion when we discussed about budget, I have told you that Niti Aayog actually set up a subgroup of chief ministers on the centrally sponsored schemes. Okay, so Niti Aayog set up a subgroup. Okay, so the subgroup of chief ministers on centrally sponsored schemes. Okay, so who was the chairman? The chairman was actually Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so what was the recommendation? The recommendation was actually centrally sponsored schemes should be reduced. Okay, see, earlier there were around 66 centrally sponsored schemes was there. Now this subgroup of chief ministers upon centrally sponsored scheme, they have given the recommendation that it has to be reduced to less than 30. Now how many are there? 28 are there. I'll discuss what are these 28 and what are the categories or what are the different types of funding, okay, etc. We'll discuss, but as of now you just need to know there was a subgroup. Just for your information I'm saying, because I've told you this is not fixed now, this is restructured, it varies. How and why? It is because of the recommendation of this subgroup of chief ministers on CSS, the centrally sponsored scheme. This decision have been taken. Okay, see, on the basis of what actually, if you remember when we discussed about the finance commission, we have discussed about finance commission. So the fund from center will be mostly transferred in the form of, you know, the proceeds of taxes, right? So the percentage of, so how much percentage will be given to the states as per 14th finance commission? 42%. And if you remember when we discussed about 15th finance commission, I have discussed about, you know, 41% should be given to states. So all these things are discussed. So here this should be given from taxes, and one of the recommendation of the 14th finance commission was actually reduce grants. Okay, so decrease grants and also reduce the centrally sponsored schemes. So because of these two, actually 14th finance commission and the subgroup of, you know, chief ministers on the centrally sponsored schemes, because of that actually centrally sponsored schemes have reduced, and there is a change in contribution also. This also is actually restructured. Now there are three different categories. I'll tell you that three categories. First category of CSS, centrally sponsored scheme, is the core. Okay, so the core of the core scheme. So these are the most important schemes. Okay, so around 6 schemes will come under core of the core. So this is core of the core. 6 schemes will come, like you know, MGNREGA, a very important scheme, so that will be a part of core of the core. So MGNREGA okay, like then old age pension scheme, okay. So all these will actually come here. So 6 schemes are there under core of the core. Now there is no change in funding pattern here. So if you see the funding, there is no change in funding. So center will take care of this, okay. So in case of core of the core, there is no change in funding pattern, okay. Now if you see in MGNREGA, if you see close to 90% is actually by the center. Why? The reason is, I'll discuss MGNREGA so that you will actually understand it in detail. Who will be giving the wages? Wages will actually be given by the center. Okay, now why this is only 90%? Because there may be a cases of unemployment allowance that will be given by states. Okay, so unemployment allowance will be given by states. Now why it is states? Because it is a responsibility of the state to ensure employment if you are applying for MGNREGA. So if you are not getting job, and if you are supposed to get unemployment allowance, means it is actually the failure of state to provide job. That is the reason why unemployment allowance should be given by states, and that's why it's around 90% will be by the center. Okay, so funding, there is no change in funding here. Core of the core. Second one, core scheme. Core scheme. Okay, so here around 20 schemes are there. So 6 there and 20 here and 2 in the next one. 20 schemes will come here. Okay, so here what about the funding pattern? Here funding will be like this. So if you see center, this is 60. In case of 2 types of states, 2 categories of states, general category and special category. We have discussed what are the conditions for special category, but this special category, government won't use this word special category, rather 8 northeast state and 3 Himalayan state. Actually this 11 states are having special category status. So 8 northeast states and 3 Himalayan states. Okay, so this 11 states are coming under the special category. So here in case of general category, the share between center and state is 60-40. Okay, in case of the special category, it is 90-10. I hope this is clear. Now the third one, optional schemes. Okay, so core of the core optional. So optional schemes. Okay, so here 6 are here, 20 are here, so balance 2. So here 2 are there. Now what are they? Like border area developmental program, border area development program. Okay, Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Rural Mission. Okay, earlier it was Pura. Okay, providing urban amenities to rural area. So here Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Rural Mission. Okay, so that we will discuss this in detail later. So just understand these 2 are actually coming under optional schemes. So here what about the funding pattern? See here you can see here if you see core scheme, there is a small change. Center 60 and state 40. So transfer 10 from here to here. Similarly from here also transfer 10 from here to here. So it will become 50-50 in case of general category and 80-20 in case of special category. So here center, state, if you see this is general category, special category. So this 60 will become 50 and this 40 will become 50. Okay, so 50-50. So from the center share you actually transfer 10 to state. Here also you do the same thing, so it will become 80 and 20. So if you know this, then it is easy to get this optional also. Okay, so what we have understood is central sector scheme 100% funded by the central government. Centrally sponsored scheme, it is actually shared between center and the states. Now which is divided into 3. Core of the core, there is no change in funding here. Okay, then core scheme, you have seen that in case of general category and special category. Then optional scheme, 2 schemes are there. So this is actually the contribution of center and state in this case. Okay, now there is something some fund known as flexi fund. Okay, so if suppose there is a particular scheme, 10% of the fund will be flexi scheme. Okay, so that is actually now increased to 25%. That flexi fund is actually given to the state, and state can utilize it as per their own wishes, but it should be in that scheme. For example, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, okay, so 100 crore is allocated. So earlier 10 crore will be flexi fund, now 25%, that means 25 crore will be flexi fund. So that it is the discretion of the state how to use that flexi fund, but it should be used in the same Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. For example, in with respect to education, the problem in Kerala and problem in Delhi will be entirely different, okay, or problem in Bihar or northern states and southern state, it will be different. So the state's discretion, 1/4 of the fund is actually added in the flexi fund, so state's discretion would be used over there. So let me write here flexi fund. So this can be asked as a prelims question. So flexi fund actually now increased from 10 to 25. So what are this? This fund under a particular scheme, state have discretion to use, okay. So this is a fund under any particular scheme with which the state is having a discretion to use. How to use it, etc. is the discretion of the state. It is actually increased from 10% to 25%, okay. So I hope this is clear. State can use it as per its choice and its preferences. So now we will start with various schemes, okay. So first we'll start with poverty alleviation and employment generation schemes. First category, I have divided into different category: poverty alleviation and employment generation scheme. Then we will see urban development programs, rural development programs. You don't want to remember each and everything. There may be some old schemes, and if you read the textbooks, you will get all those old schemes also. What you need to know is actually which one is in operation now. Okay, currently which one is in operation, that is what you need to remember. You basically need to know the ministry, okay, and the basic features of that scheme, etc. So let's discuss the most important one, but I will also talk about the old ones, but you don't want to remember any of that. So poverty alleviation and employment generation schemes. Okay, so what are the different types? Different types here? Wage employment program is there and self-employment program is there. I'll explain what is this. So first category is wage employment scheme. This is mainly in rural areas, okay. So like public work will be done and government will be providing the wages. So through this public work which is done, government will be constructing some infrastructure creation will be there, like wells, toilets, etc. okay. So roads, so it's all about public works, okay. So some public works will be done. So what is the advantage? The employees, the people will get the job, and that can solve the problem of unemployment, and the infrastructure will also be created, like roads, minor irrigation, toilets, etc. okay. So here the two cases is actually infrastructure will develop, wage employment also will be increased. Now which kind of people will benefit here? It is the unskilled laborers. So actually government can provide job to the unskilled people through the wage employment scheme, and that too in the rural areas, okay. So next type is actually self-employment scheme, okay. So here there will be two aspects. There will be training. So first the training part will be there. Individual will be trained by the government agencies, NGOs, etc. Then finance will be provided so that they can set up their own business entity, okay. So self-employment could be created. So there will be training, okay, by government officers or NGOs. So training, then finance. Okay, so training given to whom? It is given to individuals or self-help groups also. So self-help groups like Kudumbashree, etc. they will also get the benefit under the self-employment scheme. Okay, so it could be given for individuals or self-help groups. For example, Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Program. Okay, so earlier it was PM Rozgar Yojana. Okay, so what is this Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Program? After the training will be provided, after training you can actually start your own business, okay. So we will revisit to this in detail. I'll discuss this. So training and the business, you can start your own business. The finance will be provided. So we will discuss PMEGP later. Now if you see wage employment, so we will start with wage employment. So wage employment, so under this, which was the first one that we need to discuss? If you remember, when we discussed about planning, when we discussed about immediately after the Congress government, immediately after emergency, okay, that plan holidays, then we have talked about Janata Party came to power and food for work program actually started, right? So the first one under wage employment that I need to discuss is actually food for work program. Which year? 1978 food for work program. Okay, so FWP. So actually food grains are given in relation to the work which is done. So 1978. Then 1980, the same program, this is actually renamed. So you don't want to remember all these old programs. I am just talking about that evolution. So I will come and reach up to MGNREGA by expanding this. Okay, so this food for work program actually renamed, and it became National Rural Employment Program. Okay, so National Rural Employment Program, that is NREP. Okay, so here when it is renamed, some changes were made. Here it was through only food grains. Now partial cash and half food. Okay, so it was food for work program, it was the food grain which was given, but when it is renamed and restructured, it is partially wages and partially food grains are also provided. Now 1983, another scheme, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Scheme. Okay, so RLEGP. What is this? Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, RLEGP. Okay, so this is rural landless employment, those who are not having land, those landless people, and it is in the rural area employment guarantee scheme. Okay, then in 1985, one more scheme, Indira Awas Yojana. Indira Awas Yojana. So it is basically house for poor people, IAY, house for poor people. So in the rural areas. Okay, so out of this 50% reservation is actually given for SC ST. So this Indira Awas Yojana is for the poor people, like BPL category. So in the rural area, okay, so rural poor people, and 50% reservation for SC ST. 1988 Million Wells Scheme. Million Wells Scheme. So as its name indicate, 1 million wells to be developed, created. Okay, MWS. Why? What is the purpose? The objective is basically, firstly, it is part of wage employment we are discussing. So when the wells are developed, you are actually giving job to the unskilled laborers. Okay, so first of all, wage will be provided, wage employment will be generated. Secondly, it is helpful for irrigation and drinking water. Okay, so drinking water. So these are the drinking water and employment. So irrigation purpose will be met, drinking water will be available, employment generation will be there. So these are the objective of the scheme. Now out of this, this RLEGP, this one, and NREP, this one, this two actually merged now. Okay, so in which year? 1989. In 1989, so you can remember this easily. 1989, this RLEGP, okay, and NREP, this both merged into Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, JRY. Okay, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Okay, so okay, and then these two schemes, Indira Awas Yojana, you will see here Indira Awas Yojana and the Million Well Scheme. These two schemes were made as sub schemes under Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. So what are the sub schemes? Indira Awas Yojana and Million Well Schemes became the sub schemes under Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. So I am saying this again, RLEGP, NREP merged to Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, and Indira Awas Yojana, Million Well schemes made the sub-schemes under Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Now in 1993 Employment Assurance Scheme, okay, so EAS. So actually this Employment Assurance Scheme guaranteed employment to one male and one female of each family, okay. So Employment Assurance Scheme guaranteed employment to one male and one female, okay, of each family in selected areas, okay. So Employment Assurance Scheme. Now in 1999, so as of now we have discussed about JRY, right? So this JRY, Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, and this EAS both will be merged. So JRY plus EAS, Employment Assurance Scheme, these two are actually merged to Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana. Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana, okay. Gram Samriddhi Yojana, Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana. So these two have actually merged to Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana. Then when BJP government came into power in 2001, this Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana is actually renamed to Sampurna Gramin Swarozgar Yojana. Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana. SGRY, okay. So Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana, okay, that was renamed. Here it is renamed to Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana when the BJP government came to power, okay. Now, so as of now, I hope you understood this. RLEGP, NREP merged to JRY, and these two became the sub-schemes under that. Then in 93 new scheme, and then JRY and the new scheme was actually merged to JGSY, Jawahar Gram Samriddhi Yojana. Then that was renamed to Sampurna Gramin Rozgar Yojana. In 2004, there was a drought. Okay, so some new schemes are also brought in. One important new scheme, National Food for Work program. Actually, we have discussed one Food for Work program before. So this is also related to National Food for Work program. Okay, NFWP 2004. Okay, now here as of now, what is standing? Here this is standing SGRY, right? SGRY and this new scheme NFWP. Now these two will be merged. So SGRY and NFWP, National Food for Work program, will be merged in which year? In 2006 into MGNREGA, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So I basically want to tell you the evolution. We started off with this this RLEGP, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program, NREP. I told you when it was established and all. Okay, and you don't want to remember that years and all in this particular context. Nobody is going to ask you those questions. But I'm just telling you the evolution. Okay, so this two actually merged to Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Then this scheme was there, EAS, and then these two actually merged to Jawahar Gramin Samriddhi Yojana. Then it was renamed to SGRY. Then after drought, National Food for Work program. Then SGRY and National Food for Work program merged to MGNREGA. At the maximum, you need to remember this two also, because which of the two schemes were merged to MGNREGA? If that question is asked, you should be in a position to tell this, and you don't want to go behind all those things that we have discussed. And you need to definitely know about the provisions of MGNREGA in detail. It can be asked in prelims, it can be asked in mains. So when it is asked in mains, you should be in a position to write all this impacts and everything. Then it should be also asked in mains, essay also. Okay, so it can be asked in prelims. GS3, it can be asked in essay, it can also be asked in GS paper 1 as part of that social issues related to this. Okay, then it can also be connected to ethics chapter also. Okay, so we will discuss that ethical dimensions of this later when we start with ethics. Okay, so here now I'll discuss about few important provisions of this MGNREGA. So MGNREGS. It is also called as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Okay, MGNREGS. Okay, so under which ministry? You should be knowing the ministry of all important schemes very clearly. So which ministry? Ministry of Rural Development. Okay, so Ministry of Rural Development. So under Ministry of Rural Development. Now this is actually the single largest program under this ministry. Okay, so it is actually covering all districts of rural areas, and you need to know that it is in rural areas and it is actually covering all districts of rural areas. Okay, now what is the key feature of the scheme? Actually, employment up to 100 days guaranteed. Okay, so employment up to 100 days guaranteed. See, some states up to 150 days guaranteed. See, when I'm talking about 100 days guaranteed, does that mean only 100 days? No. If there is a possibility of giving job, you can give more than that also. But minimum 100 days is actually guaranteed, and you will get unemployment allowance for this. If you are not getting any job for this minimum guaranteed 100 days, you will be getting unemployment allowance. Okay, but if you have enough job opportunities, it can be 150 day, it can be 200 day, it can be 300 day, provided you are willing to work also. Okay, so employment up to 100 days is actually guaranteed, so it can be more also. Now, all rural household. Now, is it all members of rural household? No. One member, at least one member. So one member is the minimum. Then maybe, see, if there are more opportunities from the same family, 2 members can be part of this, 3 members can be part of it, but at least one member from a household should be there, and 100 days should be given. If possible, it can be 2 members, it can be 3 members. It is not that it is restricted to only one member of a family. At least one member. It can be 2 members, 3 members, etc. Similarly, at least 100 days guaranteed. Okay, that means it can be 100 and more also. Okay, so all rural household, one member from household, maybe more also. What is the wage? Earlier wage was 60. Wage rupees 60 or the minimum wage as per the state act. So okay, so either 60 or minimum wage as per state act, whichever is higher. Is higher. So out of this, whichever is higher, that will be the wage. Now what is the wage now? In 2010 it was changed to rupee 100 in real wage, real terms. So this we have discussed when we had discussed about real GDP, real national income, real interest rate, etc. So real means you need to adjust it with inflation. So when I'm talking about real wages, okay, see here it was 60, right? So when I'm talking about real wages here means what this 100 rupee could have bought in 2006. The same items you can buy in 2010. Okay, so see this 100 rupee in 2006, what all items could have bought. Okay, so that value should be provided now. So the value of 100 in 2006, that should be the case now. For that, what you need to do, you need to add inflation. So from 2006 to 2010 inflation. Even now also if you calculate, you need to actually add inflation. Okay, so it will come around 170, 180, etc. So whatever 100 rupee can buy in 2006, that you have to give now. Okay, so in 2006 how much you have given? 60. So when revised means real wage, not 100 rupee. 100 rupee real wage means whatever 100 rupee could have bought in 2006, that you should give. That will come around 130, 140, 160, 170. Now if you calculate, it will be more. Okay, so it will be close to 170. Now if you apply for this job to be given within 15 days, so within 15 days job should be given, and whose responsibility it is? It is the responsibility of village panchayat. Okay, so village panchayat should be responsible for providing the job if you apply, and that too within 15 days. Now after this 15 days, if you are not able to provide employment or job means what will happen? You have to provide the unemployment allowance. Okay, so who will be paying the unemployment allowance? Unemployment allowance actually will be paid by the state. Why? Because it is a failure of the state. It is a responsibility of the state to give employment. Once the person is applied in the village panchayat, it is a responsibility of the state to provide the employment. If you are not providing employment, means you have to give the unemployment allowance. If you provide employment, then who will give the wage? Wage will be given by the central government. So from state side, it is always better to provide the employment. Whatever be the situation or case, you have to somehow give some employment, so that center will give you the wages. Okay, so unemployment allowance will be provided by the state. That point has to be made very clear. Now, is there any reservation for women? Yes, 1/3 reservation is there for women. But if you see, more than 50% of this workforce will actually be women. Okay, so if you look into Kerala, the Kudumbasri, etc., they are doing commendable work under MGNREGA, infrastructure development, minor irrigation, etc., were part of this. Okay, so it is all related to physical labor. Okay, that means unskilled labor mostly. Okay, so, and there is one more condition, that once you apply for jobs, you should be giving job within 15 days, and you should be giving the job within 5 kilometers. If the job was beyond 5 kilometers, then travel allowance should also be given, okay, along with the wage. So I'm not writing down all these things. So state is giving the unemployment allowance. You should know that center is giving the wages. Okay, so it is actually a demand-driven scheme. What do you mean by demand-driven scheme? We have discussed this in our demand supply chapter. Demand-driven scheme means whoever demand, you should be giving the job. So whoever is actually demand will get the job here. If there is a failure, the state will have to take up the responsibility. Okay, so, and you have to compensate by means of unemployment allowance. So that has to be clear. Then one more point here is wages for skilled labor. So here this is mainly for unskilled labor, physical labor. So in case of skilled labor, wages for skilled labor and material cost. So this is in this ratio 75:25. So 75 by the center and 25 by the state. Now, who prepared this scheme? This model is actually prepared by Jean Rees. He belongs to Delhi School of Economics. Okay, so Jean Rees. Okay, so I hope this is clear for all of you. So most important features of MGNREGA we have discussed, and you also need to have a look into the various features of MGNREGA so that you will not forget it and you will not miss any questions. Okay, so let's look into the problems now. Problems. What are the problems? Corruptions. Okay, so corruption or leakage of funds. Corruption or leakage of funds. Actually, fake names will be used. The village panchayat is responsible. So for the head of panchayat, he can do anything because maximum power is actually given to panchayat now. Okay, so head of panchayat can actually manipulate. They can give fake names and they can get that money without even actually doing any work. And if you see, most of the works are actually done in rainy season, because if somebody is coming and investigating about the infrastructure work that have been done, you can say that it has just gone away. It all got destroyed in the rain. So there is an excuse. So nobody is going to question that also. Okay, so you can see here, then non-durable assets purposely will be created so that nobody is going to check it in future. Okay, so non-durable assets. So deliberately it is done because there is no proof which will be left out. Then delayed payment of wages. Delayed payment of wages. So for all these problems, you can actually write the suggestions. For example, delayed payment of wages, you can talk about DBT. Okay, non-durable assets, you have to say constructive work has to be done, proper infrastructure has to be developed, proper monitoring should be there, some apps should be created through which the photos could be uploaded. We will be talking about all those things. Okay, so first you try to understand the problems and then we will look into the solutions or the suggestions also. So inappropriate management of fund at the block level. Inappropriate management of funds at block level. Okay, So then application not accepted by Gram Panchayat. I've told you, if you are giving application, you should be giving the job within 15 days. Okay, otherwise you'll be getting unemployment allowance. In some cases, Gram Panchayat will not accept the applications. Okay, so that is actually against this the provision. So applications not accepted by Gram Panchayat. Okay, so it is demand driven nature, right? So if you are not accepting, it means demand driven means what? Upon demand you should be getting the job. So it is not accepting means the demand driven nature of this program is actually diluted, right? So that is actually against the provision, that is actually against the basic features or the tenets of the scheme. Now there was a committee which was set up in 2012, Mihir Shah committee. Okay, so we will see some of the recommendation of Mihir Shah committee also. So why I'm discussing all these is because you can write this in your mains, GS as well as in essay if you get a question. Mihir Shah committee 2012. Okay, so on the recommendation of this committee, some changes have been made, and that is what? MGNREGA 2. Okay, so here first one, 30 new works were added. 30 new works were added. Okay, then application to work to be accepted on regular basis. So here I've told you, the applications is not accepted, so it has to be accepted regular basis. That means that demand driven nature is actually strengthened. The earlier I've told you it got weakened, but now it is actually strengthened. Okay, so application to work to be accepted regular basis. Okay, otherwise it is considered as an offense. That means demand driven nature is actually strengthened. Now, no delay in payment. I've told you there was a problem in delay in payment. No delay in payment. So here if there is a delay above 15 days, that is also considered as an offense, and there will be punishment for that offense. Okay, and you also need to pay interest upon that delay. Okay, so there should not be delay beyond 15 days. Delay beyond 15 days is considered as punishable offense, and an interest also need to be paid upon the delay. So no delay in payment. Then I've told you inappropriation of funds at the block level. So here e-fund management system, EFMS for centralized pooling of fund. Okay, so here there will be centralized pooling of fund so that that problem could be solved. Then next point, management information system, MIS for online monitoring and management of its operation. So now management information system, through this online monitoring and management could be done, so you can check what all the works have been done. So government officials, without actually going over there, you can actually check through this. Okay, management information system. So online monitoring is possible. So online monitoring and management, so that you can check it. Okay, then labor budgets. So you actually have to make a labor budget. That means this month this much work has to be done, next month that much has to be done. It all depends on the workers' availability. It's not that you are starting something and you cannot drop it in between. Okay, so you plan something and make the labor budget. So it is actually having two components: demand for work and shelf of project to meet its demand. Okay, so labor budget should be there. So that means it's actually, there should be proper management, proper planning. So there should be an estimate of work. Okay, so proper estimate of work, and priority should be given as per the availability of labor. So you should be knowing this month this much labor will be available, February maximum will be available, or March this will be available, April this will be available. So you should have that proper labor budget. It will actually benefit you. Okay, so proper planning, proper estimate, proper management should be there. Okay, now recent measures. We will see the recent measures. So there is a multidisciplinary teams have been created for training Panchayati Raj institution officers. Okay, so multidisciplinary teams have been created for training Panchayati Raj institution officers at block level. Okay, so multidisciplinary teams have been created for training the Panchayati Raj institution officers at the block level. Secondly, intensive and participatory planning exercise. Intensive and participatory planning exercise. IPPE. See here, word itself, this word participatory planning exercise means, villages are also consulted. Okay, so the village participation is actually incorporated. So that itself will tell you. 25,000 backward blocks. 25,000 backward blocks have been identified. So you can write along with me, identified for intensive intervention. Okay, so now the focus is actually given at the block level, not at the district level. Earlier it was at the district level, right? Now block level importance is actually given. So 25,000 backward blocks have been identified for intensive intervention. Next, M-Asset mobile app. Okay, now what is the use of this? Actually, people can take photo of the asset which is created and it can be uploaded in the app. So it actually increase the transparency because the government officials can actually check this. Okay, so proper management will be possible, online monitoring will be possible. So the asset which is created, whether it is durable asset, etc., could be checked over here directly, then and there on the spot. So people can take photo and they can upload it. Okay, so then 60% of work to be related to agriculture. Okay, so it actually improves the agriculture productivity. So that's about the recent measures. Now we will see some achievements. Overall, this is so good because if you remember some UN reports and World Bank reports, it has mentioned that even MGNREGA is actually quoted, and it was actually recommended to some other countries also to adopt such kind of plans. And W Bank once quoted or reported that the food inflation is in India is mainly because of MGNREGA, because people are now having money, they can afford to have good food. Okay, so the food inflation, especially the prices of protein food actually increased because the demand for protein food is actually increased, because in rural area now people have money. So when people have money, purchasing power will increase, so aggregate demand will increase, so that lead to inflation. So here the demand increased is related to the food products, especially protein foods. Okay, so milk, etc. So achievements, if you see first one, livelihood security and employment. So livelihood security and employment. Food security assured, right? I have told you just before, food inflation is because of MGNREGA. So even though food inflation is there, it is actually a positive measure. Why? Because it means that food security situation in India is actually improving. Third one, women empowerment. I have told you 1/3 reservation is there. Apart from that, 50%, more than 50% is actually women, especially self-help group or like this Kudumbasri, etc. in Kerala. Okay, so women empowerment. Okay, then agriculture development, as I've told you in the previous one, 60% should be related to agriculture, so that will improve the agriculture productivity. So agriculture development. Then rural infrastructure. Okay, rural infrastructure, I have told you minor irrigation, toilets, infrastructure development, etc. will be part of this. Okay, so rural infrastructure, and most importantly, empowerment of Panchayati Raj institutions. Empowerment of Panchayati Raj institutions. See, This everything is actually decided by village panchayat. When you're applying it, it is in the village panchayat. Village panchayat have to give job within 15 days. So everything, the decision making, financial, everything, more powers are actually given to the Panchayat Raj institutions or the village panchayats. Okay, so overall it was very useful, it was beneficial. As I have told you, World Bank and UN report also quoted this, and in fact it was asked for other countries also to implement such schemes. Okay, when the new government came, all were expecting that the scheme will be renamed or the scheme will be abolished or abandoned, but that never happened. Instead, the funding is actually increased, and that itself shows the importance of MGNREGA. So I hope this is clear. A very important scheme. You can expect a question from this. You can get prelims as well as mains questions. Okay, it can also be asked in essay, and there is a scope for developing an ethics question also from this particular scheme. Okay, case study could be prepared or developed over here. Okay, next we'll discuss about Indira Awas Yojana. Indira Awas Yojana. Okay, so IAY 1985. Okay, I have told you before this, before also. So this is actually two advantage. Firstly, related to wage. It provide wage employment when you're constructing the house. Secondly, it develop infrastructure, right? And it will be giving shelter to the poor people. So first of all, wage employment will be created, then it provides shelter to poor people, or infrastructure development will be there. Now in 1989, it was made a sub-scheme under JRY. So here we have discussed that, right? So when we started here when we discussed about this Indira Awas Yojana and Million Well scheme actually merged. Here somewhere here we have discussed, here we have discussed, right, under Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. So it was actually made as a sub scheme under Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, but in 1996 again it was made independent scheme. Okay, so it was made independent scheme, and then in 2016 it was renamed or became part of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. 2016 Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Okay, so what are the important features of this? Or first of all, which ministry? It is actually by Ministry of Rural Development. Okay, so what about MGNREGA? That is also Ministry of Rural Development. So this is also Ministry of Rural Development. Now you should not have any confusion when we talk about PMAY. There is an urban component also that I'll discuss immediately after this. So here, this Ministry of Rural Development, this is related to rural areas. Okay, so this is the rural component in PMAY. There is an urban component also. In fact, urban component actually started in 2015. Okay, so like this one, Housing for All by 2022 mission. And then two parts are there. So then it became PMAY. Okay, so I'll discuss that. Just as of now, you just understand this is a part of or rural part. Urban part is coming. We'll discuss that. Okay, so Ministry of Rural Development. Now under this, a financial assistance will be provided. Financial assistance will be provided as grant. What is the difference between grant and loan? Grant you don't want to repay. Loan you need to repay. Loan may be subsidized interest. Okay, but you need to repay that. Grant you don't want to repay. So how much grant is given? 1,20,000. 1,20,000 grant is given in plain areas. So something extra is given in hilly areas, 1,30,000. So this is in plain areas and this is in hilly areas. Okay, so 1,30,000 in hilly areas, for whom we have discussed already, poor and BPL, and 50% reservation is there for SC/ST. Now apart from this, some loans are also given. So that means both grant and loan is there. So apart from this, some loans are also given. Okay, so both grant and loan is there. Loan is given at the subsidized rate. Okay, so how much? It is up to 70,000 loan is given. So subsidized loan is actually given along with the grant. Okay, so those who are okay with grant, you can go do with that. But if you need extra, you can take subsidized loan up to 70,000. See, earlier it was 20 square meter the area. Now it is actually increased to 25 square meter. Okay, so 25 square meter. So now who is identifying the poor people? Who's coming under this? Not that planning commission poverty line. I've told you when we discussed about Suresh Tendulkar poverty line, because of severe criticism even from Supreme Court, that was actually delinked from all welfare schemes of government. Now who's identifying the poor people here? It is a concerned state government. Okay, so poor people identified by, now if you remember food security program, NFSA also, I've told you the same thing. Poor people identified by the state government, okay, not the poverty line. Okay, so it is actually not used for any welfare schemes now, the poverty line. So 70,000 subsidy loans. So is it only grants? No, loan is also provided. Grant and loan both are there. Okay, so what about the target? Target is actually 1 crore houses. 1 crore houses. Okay, so this is PM Awas Yojana now, or housing for all by 2022. So when you talk about housing for all by 2022, it is actually having two parts, right? So there is a urban part, as I've told you, it was initiated in 2015. So 2015, the urban component is there. So here the target is actually 2 crore houses by 2022. So it actually covered 500 cities in 3 phases. 500 cities in 3 phases. Now what about the rural component? Rural component is what the PMAY that we have discussed, the same thing, PMAY. So in plain areas this grant, and hilly area this is the grant, and this target of 1 crore houses. Okay, so here target is 2 crore houses. So I hope this is clear, rural and urban component. Now under urban component there is a technology mission. So if you see here, grants and loans are given importance here. Okay, so we will see the technology mission submissions under the urban component. Okay, so there are 4 technology submissions. Technology submissions. The first one, see, when we talk about technology submission, it is nothing but this research and development upon what kind of houses, materials, etc. Okay, so related to that is what this technology submissions. Under that there are 4 components. Firstly, in situ slum area development program. In situ slum area development program. So slum area development. Okay, so slum area development, then and there itself the development. So 1 lakh rupee per house is actually granted. 1 lakh rupee per house is actually granted for this in situ slum area development program. That is actually part of this one. Now we are discussing the technology submissions under the urban component of housing for all. Rural component we have already discussed. Okay, so that is the first one. Second one, credit linked subsidy. Credit linked subsidy, or up to 12 lakh is provided credit linked subsidy at a subsidized interest. When we discussed about rural, it was grant and loan. So here credit linked subsidy up to 12 lakh is provided, okay, at the subsidized interest. Then affordable housing through partnership, that is a third component. Affordable housing through partnership. That means through partnership you can develop the area. For example, LIC, they will construct houses, so development of that area, etc. Okay, so affordable housing through partnership. 4, subsidy for beneficiary led individual house construction. Subsidy for beneficiary led individual house construction. Okay, see, it is basically a subsidized loan will be given for already existing house if you need to construct some extra rooms, etc. Okay, so that is also part of this, some subsidy for beneficiary led individual house construction. So these are the 4 technology submissions which are coming under the urban component of housing for all. So housing for all and PMAY both are actually same. So PMAY, when we discussed, we talked 2016, but urban component actually started in 2015. Okay, so this is the rural component. So I hope you understood. This is the urban component. 1 crore household, 2 crore household. Grants are given importance there. Subsidized loan is given importance in the urban. Okay, so urban area focuses on loan, right? So initially when it was started, it was in urban area only. So it is actually a shelter plus employment scheme. Employment, when the houses are constructed, employment is created, but then shelter is also created. Total 3 crore households, right? Urban 2 crore and rural 1 crore. Total 3 crore households are created. Okay, so if you per household, if 5 members are there, means 15 crore population will be getting benefit under the scheme. That is actually a commendable number. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So we have done with wage employment. Now we will look into some self-employment schemes. Okay, so self-employment schemes. So in 1978, we have discussed already this when we discussed about planning, and I've told you this was one of the largest scheme till MGNREGA. So initially, it was IRDP, right? IRDP, Integrated Rural Development Program. Integrated Rural Development Program. Okay, so under this there are some sub schemes. Okay, what are the sub schemes? TRISM. Okay, so training of rural youth for self-employment. Training of rural youth for self-employment. Okay, so TRISM. Then DWCRA, Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas. Okay, then CITRA, Supply of Improved Toolkits to Rural Artisans. Supply of Improved Toolkits to Rural Artisans. Then GKY, Ganga Kalyan Yojana. Ganga Kalyan Yojana. So actually these are the 4 sub schemes under IRDP. Okay, so initially it was in selected districts, but then it was extended to all districts, and before MNREGA this was the single largest scheme in the country. Okay, now all these schemes are actually integrated. Okay, in 1999, all these are actually integrated to Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana. Swarajgar, self-employment. Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana. Okay, SGSY, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana in 99, after integrating all these schemes, so the main scheme and the sub schemes. Then in 2010, okay, in 2010 it was renamed as National Rural Livelihood Mission Ajivika. Okay, actually this is funded by World Bank. It was actually funded by World Bank. So in 2010, the Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana is renamed as National Rural Livelihood Mission NRLM Ajivika. See, sometimes you will say in this name, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana, sometimes you will say in this name also. Okay, and in 2014, it was again renamed as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, DAY. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, DAY NRLM. Okay, so DAY NRLM in 2014. So the same scheme is actually renamed to this. So basically this is to seek what? So 2 components here, self-employment, also skilled employment here. Okay, skilled employment. So whenever we talk about self-employment program, so there will be training and finance. So here you can see training and finance will be provided. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, NRLM, training and finance is actually provided. And then it was renamed Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, in which year? After this was in 2014, so it was again renamed into Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. So it's like this: IRDP, then the sub schemes like TRISM, Okay, DWCRA, then Citra, then GKY, all these merged into Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, SGSY. Then this was actually renamed to NRLM Ajivika. Okay, then this was renamed to Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, DAY NRLM. Okay, then this was renamed to Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, DDU, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana. Okay, so I hope this is clear for all of you. Now what about the target? The target of this is actually to train 10 lakh youth, to train 10 lakh youth in 3 years. Okay, and this training means international quality training, so that they can get job anywhere. Okay, by 2017. So if you remember IRDP, this is how it is going. IRDP, all these merged to SGSY, then NRLM, okay, then DAY, okay, then DDU GKY. So here DAY, this DAY is, if you see, in 2014 Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, it is having two components. Okay, so what we have discussed is only the rural component, national rural livelihood mission, etc. National urban livelihood mission is also there. So when DAY is there, here we have discussed that when this DAY is there, this one here, what we have discussed is only the rural component, right? So DAY, NRLM and NULM, both are there. National Rural Livelihood Mission, National Urban Livelihood Mission, both are there. Okay, so DAY, rural and urban is there. For example, if you see, what is rural? Under rural is what we have discussed, SGSY, right? SGSY. Then we have discussed, after that it became NRLM, right? So under rural only, all these in rural, Integrated Rural Development Program, and all these merged to SGSY. So SGSY, then it became NRLM, so NRLM, and then it became DAY NRLM, right? So that is what we have seen here, DAY NRLM. Similarly, urban also, it's there. So urban, it was Swarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana. So Swarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana, SGSRY. Okay, Swarna Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana. Then instead of NRLM, it is NULM, National Urban Livelihood Mission. And here instead of DAY NRLM, DAY NULM. Okay, so one commonality is both are wage employment and self-employment. Okay, so here both wage employment and self-employment is there. So there is actually two mission, one in rural and the other in urban. So I hope this is clear. There is no need to have confusion. DAY NRLM is rural, DAY NULM is urban. Okay, now here if you see urban, there are 5 components. Okay, so where I'll discuss this 5 components. This urban, I'll discuss 5 components. First of all, employment through skill training and placement. Employment through skill training and placement. So here placement means what? Wage employment. That's what I've told you. Both wage employment and self-employment is there. Training will be given, finance will be given, then it will be self-employment. Here training and placement, that is wage employment. Okay. Second one, social mobilization institution development. Social mobilization institution development. Okay, subsidy to urban poor. Subsidy to urban poor, that means subsidized loan. So subsidized loan means, that's what I mean by self-employment. Once the training is given, subsidized loan will be given, so self-employment. Okay, fourth one, shelters for urban houses. Shelters for urban houseless. Okay, support to urban street vendors. Support to urban street vendors. Now this component by which ministry? It comes under which ministry? Very important ministry, you need to know. Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. Okay, Ministry of Housing and Urban poverty alleviation. So this rural component is under which ministry? Ministry of Rural Development. Urban component, not Ministry of Urban Development. Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. Ministry of Urban Development is different. This ministry and Ministry of Urban Development is different. Okay. So urban develop, not under urban development, but in case of rural section, it is under rural development. So MGNREGA, when we have discussed, I have told you it is also related to rural development. Okay. So most of the rural schemes coming under Ministry of Rural Development. Okay, so here not urban development, Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation. So here you can see related to household, okay, house shelter, okay, you can see support to street vendors, etc. Now fourth one, so we have discussed about three important schemes. Okay, now the fourth one, PMEGY, Pradhan Mantri Prime Minister Employment Generation Program. Okay, so PM Employment Generation Program. It was launched in 2008. Okay, so actually two schemes, PMRY and REGP, Rural REGP. Okay, these two are actually merged into this. Okay, so two schemes, PMRY that we have discussed and REGP, both are actually merged under PMEGY. So what is this PMRY? PM Rozgar Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana. This is Rural Employment Generation Program, right? So Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana and Rural Employment Generation Program, both are actually merged to PMEGY. So these two schemes are merged, and in 2008 PMEGY, Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program. Under which ministry? Ministry of MSME, Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, Ministry of MSME. Okay, so loan up to 25 lakhs. Loan up to 25 lakh. So here also two components is there. Urban component is there. We will discuss that, and then we will discuss rural separately. Okay, so in case of urban, who's actually implementing this? DIC, District Industrial Centers. Okay, so who's implementing this? Implementing agency is actually DIC, District Industrial Center. So training, assistance, etc. will be provided by the District Industrial Center. In case of rural, the implementation is by Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Khadi and Village Industries Commission. So I hope you can write it down completely. So Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Okay. Now the subsidy up to 25 lakh loan is given. Subsidy is like 10% to 35% subsidy is given. Depends on, you know, it varies between general category, SC/ST category, and also urban to rural. For example, if you talk about the cases of rural SC/ST, you know, get 35% subsidy. Okay, so 35% concession subsidy you will get, and in case of urban SC/ST, it will be 25%. So within the community, within that particular community SC/ST, rural and urban variation is there. So in case of rural SC/ST 35, in general category it will be much less. So within the same area, rural area, between communities also there will be variation. So that's why I've told you this variation 10 to 35%. This varies between general to SC/ST and also rural to urban. Within same community, rural to urban, there will be variation. That's what I've shown you here. Within SC/ST, this is the case of rural, this is the case of urban. Within rural, general and SC/ST will be also different. The SC/ST is getting 35, general will be getting 10, like that. Okay. So I hope that is clear. Now the fifth one. So we have done 4. Fifth one, Adult Innovation Mission. Or sorry, not Adult Innovation Mission, that is different one that we'll discuss later. Okay, so Adult Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation, AMRUT. Okay, so Adult Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. Okay, so AMRUT. It was launched in 2015. Okay, see earlier you have JNNURM, right? So Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission. So it is actually merged. Okay, so this one actually merged to AMRUT. Okay, Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission is actually merged. Which ministry? Here it is Ministry of Urban Development. Ministry of Urban Development. Okay, so this is actually one of the major urban development program. So finance is actually given, and center and state both will contribute. So that's about the fifth one. Sixth one, I'm trying to winding it up faster. Okay, so sixth one, PMGSY, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Okay, so Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Okay, so focus here is again infrastructure development. So if there are 500 people in normal cases, road should be built. Okay, then if there are 250 people in hilly areas, road should be built. By 2019, every village need to be connected. So it is all about developing the roads and promoting the connectivity between villages. So that number 500 people in case of normal areas, plain areas, and 250 in case of hilly areas, road has to be constructed. Okay, so that's about the wage employment and self-employment schemes. Now I'll talk briefly about rural development programs. Rural development programs. Okay, so first one, and I'll give you the notes for this. You can refer to the notes. With that you can complete it. So I'll quickly look into those schemes and you can read those notes and it will be clear. Okay, so PMGSY, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Okay, second one, Shyam Prasad Mukherjee Rurban Mission. Earlier it was providing provision of urban amenities in rural area, Pura. Okay, earlier Pura. It is a kind of cluster approach. So target is basically to set up 300 clusters by 2020. Okay, so here cluster approach. Okay, so target is creating 300 clusters by 2020. Third one, CAPART, CAPART, Council for Advancement of People Action and Rural Technology. So Council for Advancement of People's Action and Rural Technology. Okay, so here training and assistance of NGO. So there will be training and assistance of NGOs will be there. Next one under this is actually Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. SAGY. Okay, so it was introduced in 2014. Actually, every MP, Member of Parliament, have to adopt 3 villages in 5 years. In the first 2 years, 1 village, then in the next 3 years, 2 more villages. Okay, so every MP have to adopt 3 villages in the 5 years. So the holistic development of villages actually required. Okay, not just infrastructure, the holistic development of villages is actually expected, and the MP LADS fund could also be used as part of this. Then fifth one, Gram Uday Se Bharat Uday Abhiyan. Okay, Gram Uday Se Bharat Uday Abhiyan. It was initiated in 2016 on the birth anniversary of Mr. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, so focus is on participation of people at Panchayat level. Here also there is a holistic approach. Okay, then one more related to, so this is the seventh. So sixth one, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So SBA, it was initiated in 2014. Earlier there was Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan. So when it comes to Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, only focus was on toilets in rural area. But when it comes to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, rural and urban is there. So rural plus urban is there, and not only toilets, okay, waste management, many other aspects is actually included. Now, which ministry? Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. Okay, so in case of this, that is a rural case. Urban case, Ministry of Urban Development. Ministry of Urban Development. Okay, so here Ministry of Urban Development. Rural it is the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. And we have already discussed when we discussed about the tax. Okay, cess of 0.5% was actually imposed on service tax, and it is also included in the CSR, corporate social responsibility, etc. Now quickly we will see the urban development programs also. Okay, so urban development programs. So first one, AMRUT, we have discussed that. Second one related to smart cities. Okay, see, smart cities here means it is basically to enhance the quality of life of the people. So focus is here on innovative solutions, smart solution to the problems. Okay, so proper planning, save energy, proper construction, it will not affect the earthquake. So proper technology, okay, proper management, innovative solutions, smart solutions, etc. is what I mean by this smart cities. So 100 smart cities to be established. That is actually the goal. Then National Heritage City Development Augmentation Yojana, okay, Hriday. So Hriday, National Heritage City Development, okay, and Augmentation Yojana. So basically focus is to develop heritage cities for the promotion of tourism. Then Swachh Bharat Abhiyan you can write here also. Then Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, NULM, National Urban Livelihood Mission, that also you can write under urban development. So we have discussed already, so you can have a look into this. I'll provide the notes. Okay, so see, I'm starting the economy classes. The live classes are available, or we are starting live classes from Wednesday. Okay, so you can get in touch with me in this Instagram ID. You can call these numbers, so you can attend the live class if you wish to attend the classes. Then the economy live classes, the cost is just 3,000 rupees only. Okay, so apart from that, we have online classes, we have regular classes, but regular classes are available only in Kerala. So you can get in touch with me in this number, or you can get in touch with me in this Instagram ID. Okay, so you can join the Telegram channel to get all the free YouTube videos also. With that itself, you can, almost half of the preparation will be done with that free YouTube videos. Apart from that, sociology optional classes there, test series is there. Okay, so you can get in touch with me in any means. Okay, so if you wish to attend sociology classes, I'm starting sociology classes also. Sociology test, if you need to write, you can just message me. You can write the sociology test. I'll be evaluating. I was 3 times sociology topper. Okay, in all my mains, actually sociology helped me a lot, and because of sociology only, I got into interview till I cleared the exam in 2015. Okay, so I hope you understood everything that we have discussed now. In case if you have any doubt, please feel free to get in touch with me. Okay, so I'm here to help you. There's my number, there's my Instagram ID. Okay, you can join the Telegram channel. Anyway, you can get connected to me. So see you guys. Thank you.